Tonight at 5 o'clock, the jury has been seated and testimonies already underway in the trial against former LMPD officer Brett Henson. He's being tried on civil rights violations during the shooting at Breonna Taylor's apartment. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shay McAllister.
And I'm Doug Proffitt, a Metro Police sergeant, taking the stand today, saying he was shocked by Hankison's actions. But a defense attorney say Hankison was firing for their protection. Alexis Jones is following the proceedings and has more from federal court.
Breonna Taylor's mother and several activists are inside the courtroom right now. They listen as prosecutors gave crippling details of what they say are Brett Hankison's actions. DOJ prosecutor Anna Goffard says Hankison blindly shot into Breonna Taylor's apartment through a window and door covered by dark curtains. She says Hankison released 10 rounds after gunfire stopped between officers and Kenneth Walker, which goes against police protocols. Goffard says deadly force is justified only when there's a threat and when an officer has a clear target. She adds the jury will hear from Detective Miles Cosgrove, who agrees Hankison was reckless. They will also hear from SWAT officer Chris Kitchen, who says he saw Hankison jumping and pumping his fist after the shooting. However, the defense argues none of what the prosecution says is true. Defense attorney Jack Bird says Hankison shot through the side of Taylor's home to save his fellow officers, including Cosgrove. He says Hankison was able to see through the gaps of the window and fired at the sound of a rifle. Bird says his client wasn't the last officer to shoot and says Hankison showed concern after seeing Taylor on the ground. As of right now, prosecutors have brought 2 witnesses to the stand, including Breonna Taylor's neighbor, who says she was frightened for her life when bullets came through her home. In Louisville, Alexis Jones, WHAS11 on your side.
The trial is expected to last 3 weeks in downtown Louisville, and we're going to have more on the start of testimony today coming right up here at 6.
Today, a southern Indiana man was sentenced to 100 years in prison for shooting and killing his wife and endangering 2 children. On April 1st of last year, police say Mack Lewis shot his wife Elizabeth Bennett Lewis multiple times inside their house after she asked for a divorce. Police say Elizabeth's 11-year-old daughter was inside the house and witnessed the shooting. She was also the one who called 911 for help. Her 10-year-old friend inside at the time, too. Well, at today's sentencing, Elizabeth's father, Tony Bennett, gave a statement remembering his daughter as a loving mother.
Lizzie was an unbelievable mom. I said in her eulogy, she was a mama bear through and through. McKenna's and Tinsley's statement should give you a vivid understanding of exactly that. They were the center of her world. While I'm sure as I'm standing here that Lizzie is seated at the right hand of God today, I'm equally sure that there are a tear or 2 running down her face because she's not here to share their lives with them.
Lewis was sentenced on 1 count of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, firearm enhancement, and 3 counts of criminal recklessness. That is a total of 100 years in prison.
Right now, emergency management leaders from Louisville are in eastern Kentucky as the search is continuing there to find a man trapped under tons of debris. It's now been more than 40 hours since an 11-story building collapsed on 2 inspectors in Martin County, Kentucky. One man has since been declared dead. This is all located right on the West Virginia line, and today search efforts are entering a new phase where crews are working to remove piles of debris. 7 state agencies are on the scene helping with this search. Louisville's own Emergency Management Director Jody Myman playing a key role in the operation. Myman says as of this afternoon, this is a rescue operation, meaning they are still hoping to find the other worker alive.
We pick things off the pile. That's our primary search that we did yesterday. We're actually going to put the debris in a pile, assign a rescue group to it, do a secondary search on that to make sure that it doesn't have any clue of a last known location of the victim.
The 2 people trapped are inspectors on site. They were looking at the building ahead of a scheduled demolition. A Martin County judge executive saying a family member of the deceased man was at the site before he died and was able to speak with him. Crews have located his remains but have not yet been able to remove them.
Well, that sunshine sure felt good today, and it really felt the temperature go way up.
I didn't see as much frost around Kentucky end today, but we know that's going to change as we are getting ready for the big time change this weekend. Colleen Peterson is taking a look as, nobody likes it because it gets dark so early coming up.
Dark so early, and that time change happens this Saturday. It was a very cold start. In fact, we even had a low of 20 degrees in Brandenburg, so it was a hard freeze in some communities. Here in Louisville, we were at 31. Now, we did get a lot of photos of some frost flowers across town. That only happens this time of year when the sap is still in the stem of a plant and it freezes. When it freezes, it expands. So just look at the sap freezing out, creating all these beautiful ribbon flower-like images across town. We are seeing some beautiful sunshine, blue skies across town. Temperatures are actually in the 50s. Feeling a lot more comfortable today than what we were at yesterday. 57 in Louisville, getting close to 60. In fact, we are going to get to the 60s as we head out the door tomorrow afternoon. Heading for an evening stroll tonight, 53 degrees around 6 o'clock. Sunset is around 6:30 this evening, 51 degrees. Going to be another dark, clear night ahead. So tomorrow morning, no more frost flowers in that forecast. In fact, we are actually going to be above freezing. Temperatures in the upper 30s, maybe even low 40s here in the metro. Sunshine is in store. We'll be in the mid-50s at lunchtime, 63. Beautiful, perfect fall-like weather that we have in the forecast for you. That jet stream retreating to the north, so we have some mild, beautiful conditions in store. I'll tell you when we can get that next chance of rain coming up in 10 minutes.
Thank you, Colleen. A great day to place your vote. Your voice, your vote. WHAS 11 News is now bringing you coverage of the candidates and the voting as you decide the future leadership for Kentucky on Tuesday.
Today's the first day of early voting and the first governor's race since the expanding voting window was signed into law. There are locations in each region in Jefferson County.
WHAS 11's Ian Hardwitt headed to the polling locations in East and West Louisville today, where he talked with voters and election officials about the convenient voting option.
The early morning sun rises over the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage on the first day of early voting. Retired veteran Vicki Spearman cast their ballot just after 10 o'clock.
When it comes to who we put in office and everything, nobody should be sitting back wondering, oh, I'm not voting today because I don't care who's running in office. No, it doesn't work like that. Everybody should be able to should come out and vote.
State law requires polls to open Thursday through Saturday. In Jefferson County, they're open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 10 different locations throughout the city. This is the first time Kentuckians can vote for governor before Election Day. Aaron Huber, an official with the Jefferson County Clerk's Office, passes out I voted wristbands and helps a few ballots slide into the machine.
This is the chance that the people get to say yes or no. This is the way that people get to determine what they want moving forward. And that excites me more than anything.
The early voting location here at Bowman Field saw a bit of a lunch rush as the line stretched out the door and onto the sidewalk. One of the women who waited in that line talked to me. She said she's happy for the opportunity to vote early after so many years of not being able to because of work.
But if you have a load of patients, who's going to cover those while you're gone? So you can't do that. And so I never could vote when I worked my 12-hour shifts. So that's why I think it's so important to have early voting.
Good morning, folks. We'll be with you as quick as we can.
Huber, with the clerk's office, predicts a similar turnout to the 2019 election, 48%. He encourages people to take advantage of the new early voting opportunity.
If the people want to be able to keep it, they need to use it.
With less than half of the county's voters expected to show, the only sure way to bring the number up is to come yourself. In Louisville, Ian Hardwitt, WHAS 11, on your side.
One of the first voters in line this morning for early voting was in Frankfort, and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear casting his vote for what he hopes will be another victory for the governor's office.
Well, we need every single person to get out. At the end of the day, none of the polls matter. It's who turns out on Election Day and how they vote. So we need everybody. And regardless of who you're voting for, this is the bedrock of our democracy. We want to see a big voter turnout, and we want to see a big voter turnout for these early days. You know, the legislature expanded them. We've got to show up and prove that the people of Kentucky really want them.
As for Republican Daniel Cameron, his campaign tells us he's going to be casting his vote the morning of the election right here in Louisville, and will be there when he casts that vote.
And check it out. Bashir celebrated his early vote today with one of Louisville's favorite celebrities, none other than Jack Harlow.
I think y'all are all holding the right signs. And I want to encourage everybody to get out there and vote. You know what to do, man. Thank you so much.
Well, the two of them arrived together on Bashir's campaign bus, making a stop at U of L's campus over at the Red Barn to urge young people to get out and vote. Harlow said he and the governor have created an organic relationship over the past year and a half, and he was excited to stand by his side today during this part of his campaign. Also today, on the first day of early voting, the Louisville branch of the NAACP partnered up with the Transformative Justice Coalition, traveling out and around town in a votercade.
The organizations say the goal of what they are calling a votercade was to increase voter turnout here in Louisville among younger voters. The votercade traveled through several of Louisville's neighborhoods today, including Park Duval and the Park Hill neighborhoods. It was also stopping by Simmons College of Kentucky, as well as the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage. They say today that they wanted to show people that the power to make change lies in your vote.
This is not about me. It's my turn to support Gen Z and be there, because we're going through a lot in this world, and we have to fight for everything right now. But how do we do that? We vote. And we get out there and we talk to people who never voted before. We talk to people who feel like they cannot vote.
The votercade is going to be in Kentucky for all 3 days of early voting. Again, tomorrow and Saturday, they're going to be making stops in Shelbyville, Frankfort, and Lexington.
Here in Louisville, there are 10 locations where you can vote early. Again, this continues through Saturday. You can vote each day between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. To find the voting location nearest you, check out our voting guide. It's available on the WHAS11 app.
Love the Saturday voting. And a heads up, we want to invite you to join us for our WHAS 11 News 1-hour election report at 7 on election night. As the polls close in Western Kentucky at 7, you're going to really see those results getting bigger. So we'll be here on the air with you. We'll be joined by our political analyst, Republican consultant Iris Wilbur-Glick, and the former Metro Council president, Democrat David Tandy. It's Tuesday night right here at 7.